Morning. All right, so this week we are starting our taster sessions for the strength and mobility flow for runners. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up, and I'm doing this video. This is probably the most important one for you, but I might do some more as well. Just if you want to have a play before we start, you can. It'll give you that sort of head start essentially as well, and also give you an idea of what's coming, because I'm ever so pleased that so many of you signed up. It's great, and it tells me that there's obviously some kind of need for this kind of thing, or you think there is. So everybody, literally, there's 60 people signed up for the first session, and I can guarantee that if I asked every single one of those people what they were expecting out of the sessions, it would be something completely different. So it is what it is. You know, there'll be a massive drop off after the first one because it won't be what people are expecting, and that's fair enough. But one of the things that that does always come up for pretty much everybody at some point is rests. And because of what we're doing, which is using the floor essentially as a way of adding resistance to build strength and stability around all your major joints, particularly hips and shoulders, spine, etc., it means that you have to be suspended on your wrists for extended periods of time. And for most people, we don't use our wrists that much, other than for driving, eating, typing, and very, very little else, and certainly for not putting any weight on. So if you can do this, you can look at your range of motion. Mine's not horrendous, but it's certainly not brilliant. So that's my active range of motion. That's just me pulling my hands back and looking at what range I've got. If I do it passively, I'm trying to do that without you, I can get to 90 degrees, just about. Yeah, so you need at least 90 degrees in order to be able to support your body weight on the floor. And my suggestion, my very strong suggestion, is that you spend some time conditioning your wrists. If not for doing the floor sessions with me, then for looking after or strengthening or building some resilience in your wrists for the future as well, because they're kind of important. All right, so on that basis, those of you that have been doing the sessions with me for a while will know some of this, but this is a longer version of wrist movements. You don't need to do them all every day, but I would choose one or two and make a point of doing them, and choose the ones that feel dreadful. You can pretty much guarantee that when it comes to movement, if you find it hard, dreadful, uncomfortable, not painful, that's different, but if you find it uncomfortable, dreadful, and just generally something that you don't want to do, that tells you probably need to be doing more of it, unfortunately. And wrist work is one of those things. It can be it's a bit boring, a bit meh, but it's really, really important. Anyway, right, that being said, I am knelt up, sat on my heels. If you can't sit on your heels, you're more than welcome to be upright. You want to be in a position where, when you put your hands down on the floor, there's very little weight on them to start with. So you're putting your hands down on the floor with your fingers spread, right? You want your fingers spread as wide as possible, and then look down at your fingers. Can you even get your fingers flat, right? So if your fingers are clawing off the floor already, that tells you you've got some hand tension. And much like the feet, if your feet are not flexible and strong, then the chances are you will have problems further up, whether that be ankles, knees, hips, lower back. The same applies to your hands and your wrists. If your hands and wrists are not particularly great, and you're holding more tension, or they're not particularly mobile, you've lost some ranges of movement, your fingers are contracted, they're clawing at the floor, then it will have a knock-on effect. So if you get RSIs in the wrist, or you've got elbow, tennis, golf, that kind of stuff, tennis, golfer's elbow is what I'm talking about, if you've got that kind of stuff here, or you find that your shoulder isn't quite as mobile as it once was, or the biggie, if you're holding a lot of tension in your neck, so if you're starting to get neck issues, it can be from a knock-on effect of this all not working as well as it should, and we use it for everything. Right, okay, so hands flat, fingers spread, about shoulder distance apart, no body weight on them to start with. Right, so from there we're going to shift the weight forward. So you might need to come forward with the hands, but you're going to shift the weight forward. You're going to find the point at which you bear weight on your wrist, and you're going to see how it feels. If you get a sensation of pinching at the front of the wrist, that tells you that you have a lot of work to do with your wrist joints. If all you feel is a stretch on the back of the wrist, that tells you you've just got some muscle release work to do. So some stretching, this kind of stuff, all brilliant. But if you get to a point and it just nips across the front, that tells you that there's some stuff going on in the joint that you need to be working towards fixing, rather than just pushing through a range of movement that your body isn't particularly happy with. But it's not the end of the world, but it just gives you an idea of what's going on and what you need to do about it. So all I'm doing is taking my body weight forward and back. I'm gently leaning my shoulders past my wrists to take them into a stretch, and I'm just seeing how it feels. And then from there I'm going to come forward, I'm going to hold my weight forward, I'm going to come into a forward movement, then to the side, then back, over to the other side and around. I'm just creating a circle with my body, essentially, which is a bit difficult to see front on, but that's what I'm doing. So circling one way and the other, and you just pay attention. I'm going to reverse my circles. You pay attention to what's going on in the hands. You know, have your fingers started to kind of claw up? Has your thumb started to work its way in? Can you keep your thumb actually wide? The other thing that might cheat while you're doing this is your elbows might bend, and you might find that your spine and shoulders start to get involved. Everything else should stay relatively still as you mobilise the wrists. So that's all good, that's fine. Sit back again, and then I'm going to turn the hands out. So I'm going to have my wrists pointing towards each other and my fingers out to the side. So your options here, to make it easier, you go wider with the hands, yeah? That takes the load off. The closer you come, until you can't get any, if you're super bendy, you can even go beyond that. That's well past my limits, is that, but you can go beyond that. So you've got your options. Choose your option, or choose your adventure. I'm going to go here, then bring my body weight on top of the wrist again, and then I'm going to go side to side. Same thing, I look down at my thumbs and I go, ha! I notice that they do not want to be straight. Can you get your thumbs straight? Can you get your fingers flat to the ground again? Do you get pinching here? Yeah, so different hand positions are going to change where you might feel it in the wrist. If you are getting pinching as you do this, my suggestion is that you just back off a little bit. Yeah, back off out of the pinching. Keep moving into those pinch-free ranges of movement. And I'm going side to side, and then I'm doing little circles again, and I'm being extremely gentle. Very, very gentle. And I keep banging on about being gentle, because for most of us who've never spent any time on our hands and wrists, this is going to feel less than great. Let's put it that way. Less than great. And then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to come off my wrists, and I'm just going to let them hang for a moment. I'm not going to force them. There is a wrist relief position, which I'll show you in a minute, which is this. I'm not going to force them into that position because I'm still working on extending them backwards, right? So I'm gently letting them kind of come the other way, just giving them a little bit of a limp-wristed shake. Because I don't want to take them too much the other way while I'm still working on extension. So then, this is the one that usually freaks everybody out, we turn the hands the other way. So I'm going to bring my body weight forward this time, because the more forward my body weight is, the easier it is, because now I'm turning my hands the other way. So I'll turn sideways on so you can see what I'm doing. My fingers are now pointing towards my knees, is the word I'm looking for. So fingers pointing towards my knees. I look at my thumbs again and realise that these definitely do not like this position. So I'm trying to get my thumbs straight. I'm trying to get my fingers straight on the floor. And of course, the more forward my shoulders are of my wrists here, the easier it is. The stretch or the pull or the pain comes when you take your body backwards. And so again, ever so gently, because for most of us this will be an extremely novel experience. So I'm gently shifting my weight forward and back. Again, if you feel pinching, and this, well, technically it's on the front, if you feel pinching here, again, back off. You should, I say should, the ideal is to feel a stretch and a pull down this side, the bit that I'm stroking, this bit, which is on the front. And not the pinching on the back. Stay out the pinching, but by all means stretch the stretchy bits. Forward and back. You could do your little circles there again as well. Circle it around, circle it one way, circle it the other. Don't need to be here an extended length of time. And then you can release out of that. And then we're going to go the other way. So we're turning the hands the other way, which can feel a little bit even more minging, more minging than doing that this way. So starting from where we were before, you're going to bring fingertips forward. You're going to bring the backs of the hands on the floor. My elbow pits are pointing towards you. And I'm trying to get my thumbs down. So my thumbs are I'm trying to turn my hands over far enough that my thumbs reach the floor and my elbows are straight. Then as I start to come forward, you'll feel your elbows want to bend. You know, your elbows will kind of want to collapse because it takes the pressure off the wrist. I'm trying to keep the backs of my hands on the mat as I shift my body weight forward, which increases the stretch. And so this time, what you're looking for is to avoid pinching here along technically the front, I'm going to call it the front, the palm side, and more, you want the more stretchy down the back, right? Pinchy, not good. Stretchy, fine. Forward, back. And then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to try and make a fist. I'm keeping the backs of my hands on the floor, but I'm trying to make a fist, and it'll feel weird. You're like, why can I not make a fist? And that just shows you how much tension you've got going on down the back. So I'm going to release, and I'm going to make a fist, and I'm going to release, and I'm going to make a fist. Release, fist, release, fist, release, fist. And that's enough of that. And then again, you come out, give them a little shake. Before we move on. So we're going to go with the hands or the fingers pointing out to the side again. So again, the wider you go, the easier it is. So you work your way in to the point at which you think, yeah, that's enough for me at the moment. So again, backs of the hands are on the floor, my elbows are straight, I'm not kind of coming into this bulldog position, nice straight elbows. Same thing, I'm going to make a fist. And I'm looking at myself on the video here, purely because it makes me smile, this movement. I feel like, I don't know, like a sea creature, an octopus, some kind of, I don't know, just a sea creature. You're probably looking at me thinking I've lost the plot, but yeah, quite possibly. But anyway, sea creature. You do one at a time, which kind of looks cool as well. Don't ask me why this makes me smile. It just makes me smile every time. So anyway, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Oh, you work out which finger. It's my left index finger just will not play with this movement at all. And same thing, come off your wrist, give them a shake. At this point, or it might have been even like way back when, you might be going, oh my God, what is going on? This is so bad. My wrists are killing me. And if that's the case, now is the time to stop, right? So don't push yourself through something, A, that you've never done before, if that is true of you right now, and B, if it's painful, right? There's one thing feeling discomfort and feeling stretch, there's another thing going, oh, my wrists are knackered. If you are feeling that much discomfort, then unfortunately you know you've got some work to do. I hate to say it, but it's true, and it's true for me. So I've been working on this stuff for a long time. So if it's still true for me, then chances are it's true for you as well. Anyway, so this time, same thing, backs of the fingers pointing towards the knees. Your choice as to how much weight you want to put on. You will feel that the elbows want to kind of do this bulldog thing. You want to find a position where you can keep them straight. And I'm hoping you can see, yeah, you will be able to see that I'm making fists again. So I'm making a fist and releasing, making a fist and releasing. You can do as many as you want. Even 2 or 3 is better than none at all. So just playing with that movement there. So maybe 5 or 6. And then I'm going to come off my wrist, thank God. And I'm going to clench my fingers together. Forearms close or touching, and I'm going to push my right fist on top of my left. So I'm taking the left one into extension, the right one into flexion, and then I'm going to roll them around each other and switch. So you can see my forearms are twisting around each other, and I'm keeping them close. And I'm just trying to get as much movement as I can in the wrists. And again, you want to stay away from any kind of pinchy stuff. So if you get to here and you think, oh, that doesn't feel great, chances are it isn't. So stay out of that range and just make it smaller. So make it as big as you can, but without any kind of pinchy pain. That's a technical term. Pinchy pain. It's Sunday morning. It's pinchy. Probably Sunday afternoon, actually. So rolling the wrists. And then this one is a weird one. You bring the hands, clench your fingertip, what's this called? Interlacing the fingers. And you see my palms are not here, they're pointing towards the floor. So my little finger is pointing towards you guys. My thumbs, I'm pushing my thumbs together, the tips of my thumbs are what's going to keep everything locked in place. And my forearms, I don't know, everything's about shoulder height, right? So everything stays that way. So I'm going to lead with my little finger towards you. Now what I don't want to do is that action, right? So it's not this. What I'm trying to do with this is open up that movement. If I was to here, so you can see, yeah, I'm trying to open this side of the wrist. So squeezing the thumbs together keeps everything locked, and then I'm taking my palms down towards you to stretch here. It might not feel like a stretch, it won't feel like any of the other movements we've done. It's an unusual position for your hands to be in, but it's one that we kind of miss as well. And you could go here, you can go out to the side, you could go around, because each position of your arms or forearms will change just what part of the wrist is being mobilized. So we do that a few times. All is good with the world. And release, and then making the horns, give it a shake. And what am I doing with the thumbs? It's the thumbs that we're after. I was rocking out then. I'm not the rocking out. It's your little finger and your thumb that you're after. And you shake it up and down. Shake it down. Shake it side to side. Shake it anywhere really. Just loosen off the tension. You can let your fingers go. Give them a good waggle, up and down, all around. Okay, so that's obviously the floor version, which if you are coming to the taster sessions, you can spend 5 minutes before the taster doing some wrist work. If you're doing the strength sessions in the morning, you can do the wrist work before you start. Yeah, the rest of the time, during the day, just grab a chair. If you find that your wrists are not happy, you've got a chair or a tabletop. So if this was a table, your desk, something like that, or worktop while you're waiting for your kettle to boil, you can just take your hands this way and do the same, rocking forward and back, or doing circles. You can go side to side. You can go this way and do your little, maybe that way, sea creature. You're just trying to get your wrists through full ranges of movement, and particularly the hands. Trying to get the hands so that the thumb will sit flat to the desk or whatever you're using, so your fingers aren't clawing, that kind of stuff. So start to work on your wrist mobility if you are intending to keep up with some of this strength and mobility flow. All right, 20 minutes on wrists, who does that?